Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check the video out today and spend some time with me. I always appreciate that. And guys, today I want to have a conversation why the future of bass fishing is not in good hands. Really concerns me a lot. It ought to concern you all as well. Sort of going to give you guys my opinion of that, and then talk a little bit about maybe what we can do to ensure the future of our fishing coming up over the next 50 or 100 years, or however many more generations is going to be bass fishing around here. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, quick invitation out there. I just want to invite anyone that is interested in becoming a channel member of Intuitive Angling. All you have to do is go to my homepage, my YouTube homepage, hit the join button that's on the front of the page there for information. You got to usually do that on your browser. And also, thank you very much for everybody that's been using all the links I put in the description of each video. All you guys that are using my lake map breakdown link and the tackle warehouse link to buy your tackle, big thank you from me and my family. I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, somebody's got to do it. I guess I have not seen anybody other than myself really emerge to call this type of stuff out. So if I have to be the one that takes on that job of doing it, I guess I'm the one to do it. Because I'm concerned about the future of the sport. I really am. I love bass fishing. I have ever since I was a little kid. I've loved it my whole life. It's been the centerpiece of my life. And me getting into my 60s, I don't know how many more years you got left. I mean, if 20 more years or so before things start going sideways for most people when they get around 80. So I start thinking about what we're going to leave behind here. And in doing so, that's why I want to talk a little bit about all this stuff in today's video. And I talk about this stuff a lot. And if you guys watch my channel, you're going to learn a lot about bass fishing here, because I do a lot of bass fishing tips. I've done over 4,000 bass fishing tips over the past 4 years. But you're also going to learn about some stuff like this that really I feel as bass anglers, you have a responsibility to know. Because I don't think bass fishing is all about taking. I think it's about giving back to the sport, leaving it better than what we found it. So what I want to do today is sort of bring up some situations here about why I don't think this sport is in very good hands with the current hands that it's in right now, and sort of some things we can do with that. First of all, guys, we don't have enough water. We do not have enough lakes and places to fish around the country in terms of the increasing fishing pressure that we have in our lakes. All you guys that have been around a long time, you have seen the drastic increase in fishing pressure. I mean, if you've been fishing as long as I have, compared to the fishing pressure that we had 30, 40 years ago was nothing compared to what we have now. I mean, literally, 30, 40 years ago, there was 10% of the tournaments that we have now, and 10% of the just bass fishing in general. And we basically have not added any water on our lakes. And one of the things about the future sustainability of the sport, since we have to work within the parameters we have about the lakes, is we have got to start figuring out a way to make more water. And one of the things that I always like to bring up, I wish I could talk to some politician in the position of power to do this. It's like, why can't, on a state and federal level, we start making this initiative where we create more fishing opportunities for people? In other words, like the town that you live in or the city that you go into, why can't like every town around the country build a 50, 200 acre, 500 acre lake right there close to town where people can fish at? All the places that, like here in Springfield, Missouri, that are all dilapidated and meth heads running around, why can't we bulldoze that down and make a 300 or 400 acre lake to increase fishing opportunities for people? And I know that we can't have these big 40 and 50,000 acre lakes anymore. That's the era gone past. But we can create a lot of really quality fisheries on a smaller level all around the country. I just think there needs to be some type of a government subsidy to do something like that. The benefits to the public and the environment, also creating more wildlife habitat, for those type of areas, is just incredible with that. And another thing with that, one of the reasons that, and this all goes back to the sport not even being in very good hands for the future, is that the Chamber of Commerce's and the city planners and whoever it is on every lake that actually issues permits or allows tournaments to come into those bodies of water, Guys, these people are the most irresponsible group of people I've ever seen, because there's no limitations on it. It's like there's several days here at Table Rock Lake in Missouri, where I live here, where there'll be 7 or 8 tournaments at one time on a Saturday with 1,000 tournament boats on the lake. These people, and what I'm saying, the irresponsibility of it is they issue these permits basically to try to stimulate the local economy at the expense of our fisheries, at the expense of the quality of the fisheries, of the safety of the people out there, everything that goes in line with that. That's one aspect that we really have to address. And all you guys that fish tournaments, you know what I'm talking about. The tournaments that come into your bigger lakes, there's more and more than ever. They don't put a limitation on them. It's just about money, money, money. We've seen that heavily around my part of the country. Okay, the next reason that fishing is not in very good hands for the future, and we've talked about this over and over again, and I'm going to keep talking about it, because one of the things when I talk about this technology thing, technology and environmental issues, it's so easy to do one video on it. People say, "Oh, Randy, stop talking about it. You're beating a dead horse." You can't ever normalize destruction. And that's what people in positions of power try to do. They try to normalize crazy. They try to normalize things that are not good for the general well-being of the public and the future of our generations. And this is sort of what you're seeing happen with like forward-facing sonar and electronic technology. It's very well known that the majority of the bass anglers in the country are against this technology. Everybody knows that. There's a vocal minority of people in this country, a very vocal, very minority element in this country that perpetuates this advancing technology and all the threats that it has to the future sustainability of our sport. And they count those people. I don't care if it's somebody like Bassmaster that just wants it to go away. Bassmaster basically wants this whole controversy of forward-facing sonar just to disappear, because it's a bad look for them, and it is, and because they deserve it. It is a bad look for them because it is bad. But you have people like this that are making an concerted effort to try to silence voices like myself or other people out there that come into opposition against this type of technology that is destructive to the future of our sport. And we can't have that. So when I talk about this, we can't ever normalize, we can't ever like get tired or apathetic about talking about these types of topics. So anyway, back to the thing about the reason why the sport is not in good hands moving forward for the future is that the 2 tournament organizations, FLW and MLF, and smaller organizations to a lesser extent, they have not taken the lead on this, and they have not taken the lead to initiate things that will secure the long-term sustainability of the sport, because they don't want to lose those sponsorship dollars from electronic companies. And it's not like it was back in the past, because back to the whole thing about Bassmaster the way it was 40 or 50 years ago, it's not like that anymore. It's like I don't see decisions being made for the best interest of the sport. I see it being made on the best interest of short-term profits for the organization. That's the problem we have with that, as far as when I say the sport is not in very good hands with that. And make no mistake about it, guys. When you combine these things that I'm talking about here, I've got 3 things that I'm going to talk about. And when we get finished with the video, when you combine those things, you'll see what I'm talking about as far as it not being in very good hands there. But anyway, this attempt to normalize and squash the opposition of advancing electronic technology in our sport it's one of the most irresponsible moves I've ever seen people in positions of power within our sport make. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but Clark Winlet was on Dave Mercer's podcast a couple days ago. And Clark, guys, is a consummate professional. I got a tremendous amount of respect for Clark Winlet. And his whole point on the video is he basically is getting out of the sport because of forward-facing sonar and technology. And he made so many good points in that particular podcast with Dave Mercer, talking about prior to forward-facing sonar, there was nothing wrong with the sport whatsoever. The overall health of the sport and the overall way it operated was it is such a better place than it's ever been before. And the technology that has come in and taken that away from it has done nothing but degrade the sport. You gotta listen to that podcast. I'll link it in the description if I can remember to do that here. So that is another reason it's not in good hands, because like I said, the people in positions of power are not doing anything with it. Third thing with that, and this is probably the most important, why the sport is not in good hands for the future, is all of the freaking environmental challenges that we have to the sport, that people, for whatever reason, they tune out, they villainize, and everything surrounding that. Because here's what I'll say about this, and I lose subscribers every time I do this, because people, they don't want their worldview challenged. Back in the 1970s, the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, when it was run by Ray Scott, when it was actually a great organization, Ray came up with an initiative through Bassmaster called Peg a Polluter. And for the whole period of the 70s, this is back when the EPA was starting to get started, Ray was an instrumental voice in trying to bring awareness to industries that are polluting our air and water. That sort of has went by the wayside. For whatever reason, ever since Ray left Bassmaster, you don't hear much about that. And guys, make no mistake about it. When you talk in terms of the future of the sport, you cannot talk about anything without addressing this situation. And the problem that we have right now, and why the future of the sport is not in good hands, if you guys have been following the news, we are getting ready to enter a period over the next few years where there's going to be massive industry deregulation, which basically translates into more air and water pollution. And don't let anyone fool you guys. These politicians that are on a local, state, and federal level, they are wolves in sheep clothing, because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They say, oh, we're gonna, relax regulations to allow businesses to grow, but at the same time, we're gonna protect our environment. Bullshit, it doesn't work that way. Basically, let me translate what that means to you. We're going to deregulate industry so they can release more toxins and pollution into our atmosphere, so they can make more money and they can help subsidize and keep us in power. That's what it means. And it doesn't make any difference if it's some politician that has signed off on allowing spraying toxic herbicides into Lake Okeechobee, or spraying the grass on Lake Gunnersville, or spraying the grass down at Sam Rayburn Lake, or some regulation that's been relaxed that allows some plant to pump more CO2 in the atmosphere and create more mercury contamination in our water that allows you can't eat or keep fish. There's a lot of different aspects to that. But guys, that is a huge danger to the future of the sport. So the way that I see it right now, we have got people in positions of power from one end to the other in the sport that simply do not have the best interest involved. They don't have the best interest in mind. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that. There's a few people out there that truly have the best intentions, and they're not motivated by money, and they're not motivated by greed, and they're not motivated by power. But make no mistake about it, guys, we are in a position right now where a lot of the power brokers within the sport that directly influence the future of this sport are not making the right moves with it. It's going the opposite direction. And it doesn't matter if it's the conservation issues and habitat, or the exploding electronic technology, or the environmental deregulation that is fixing to pollute our air and water even more. You can't have that. You can't have it both ways. It's like as anglers, it's like the number one priority of any bass angler out there, if you love the sport, is you protect your playing field. It's like, why would you want to poison your own backyard and the things that you love? That is the most ignorant, irresponsible thing that I've ever seen. That's one of the reasons, guys, I love the show Yellowstone, because if you guys watch the Yellowstone, if you guys know watching, you know what I'm talking about, but if you're not, it's about this family, the Duttons, that own the largest ranch in the United States. And they are constantly fighting people that want to come in there and develop and exploit their land and pollute their land. They're constantly fighting these people. And eventually, the family leader, John Dutton, gets elected governor of the state of Montana. And his policy, or his slogan for running for that office, was that he is the wall that blocks progress. He goes, we don't want progress in our state. I am the wall that's going to stop any progress into the state, because he understands that protecting that future and protecting that environment is more important than allowing a ski resort or an airport, right next to a national park. And that's one of the reasons I really love that show. But the problem you have on that is, in the real world, those people like John Dutton are villainized because they call them tree-hugging libtards or whatever you want to call them. But in reality, those are the people that need to be in positions of power, that have this vision of long-term sustainability. And right now, from everything that I've seen in the sport, there are next to no people in positions of power within the sport of bass fishing that have that intense long-term vision of sustainability of the sport on any level whatsoever. And if I have to be the one to call it out, I will, because again, I love the sport, man. I love the purity and the therapeutic nature of the sport, and I want to see it thrive on into the future. And it's not going to thrive if you allow the things that I talked about to continue. It's not going to thrive by allowing industries to pollute at will from deregulation. It's not going to thrive allowing advancing electronic technology to creep in our sport and make it something that it's not. It's not going to thrive if we do not have enough water to meet the needs of the growing fishing population out there. And everyone, I get a handful of people say, "Oh, Randy, you're just negative. All you do is bitch and complain about stuff." And other people say, "Randy, you're right on. Think about it a little bit." I mean, just think about it. Okay, think about the scenario. If say 100 years from now, your great grandchildren, they live in a world that's been overdeveloped, overpopulated, polluted. Point now where technology, there's the actual act of fishing doesn't even exist anymore, because we've advanced technology so far to a sport that there's nothing left. There's no mystery, there's no magic whatsoever. You can shine your freaking whatever machine out on the lake and it tells you where every fish is at and the mood that they're in and what lure they want. There's very few people that have the ability to look and envision what that possible scenario looks like. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that up. I mean, I just, like I said, if I got to be the one that's going to do it, I'm going to do it, because, when my time is done on this planet, I'll be able to look back and, hopefully think I did, maybe influenced a few people by, making the right decisions, so we don't go down that dark path that we're sort of headed on right now. And the problem is we're on this dark path, but a lot of people, they got blinders on, and they either don't want to hear it, they don't want to see it, they're apathetic about it, they don't think it exists, but it's here and it's now. And the people that are in positions of power to make those decisions, that's what they want. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to say anything about it. They don't want you to be aware of it, because make no mistake about it, money corrupts, power corrupts. And when you're talking about power and money in anything, that is a bad combination with that. So anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents on it. Let me know what y'all think about it. We'll talk later.